Welcome back to Trojans Live. It's time for our football roundtable, and I'm joined not by one, but two All-Americans and a legend. That is true, John Jackson and Sean
Legend
Cody.
is a synonym for low.
No, it's not old. It's wisdom. How about that?
I'll take that one. I better quit on my head, Sean.
As we've been talking about all episode, guys, it is spring camp for USC. I'm curious about your two experiences. As I mentioned, you guys are All-Americans. What was your approach to spring camp? Because it's a little bit of a tease. You know, you don't have a game to look forward to. You got to stay locked in for 15 practices. How did you approach spring?
JJ, take it away. You fill it up for this one.
Well, spring, a long time ago, I can barely remember. Spring ball is the first time that you really get out there, for me anyway, and it looks like you were off the freeway, driving in the slow lane, and then all of a sudden you jumped in where everybody's flying by 75 miles an hour. So, yeah, that was the difficulty for me, was the speed, especially for the receivers and the DBs. The DBs, like Tim McDonald and those guys, Mark Carrier, they're a lot faster than you thought.
They're going.
They're a lot faster than they look.
Yeah, I just remember when you're young, I figure that, that early freshman, sophomore, those spring years were very instrumental in your career, because those are you're working on a lot of stuff. You got to take a lot of reps, because the older guys don't want to take those reps during spring. They're getting ready. Oh, they got a lot of hamstrings in spring, where those older guys like
acting up on you.
I don't know, coach. My hamstrings bugging me a little bit, but as I got older, I used those ones. But when you're younger, you got to work on a lot of stuff. You got to get to a certain level, and taking a lot of reps in spring when you're young. That's the thing I remember most.
Felt like every practice was a game.
Oh yeah, you used to get after, because what do you got, 15, 16 of them,
15,
and you're out there, and the coaches want to get better. The coaches are working on things. They're seeing what kind of team they have, what kind of defense they have, and your perspective, the offense. So a lot of things to work on for the coaches. So they're definitely getting after it out there.
Well, from your perspective, Sean, when you have a new DC come in, who we got to talk to at the top of the show, Coach Patterson, what's your mindset when you're trying to almost impress or show DC what you can do?
Yeah, anytime you got a new coach who's taking over, whether it's a head coach or a defense coordinator, you're having to interview again almost as a new player, and you're trying to show this coach, hey, I can do this. I can play in your scheme. I was part of lots of coaching changes at different levels, and figuring out, hey, I got to interview for this spot. He's got to see what I'm about, what kind of player I'm about. I got to get after it this spring. I got to let him know what I can do, and he can find out how he can use me within this defense. So just different things when there's a new coach involved that you're kind of basically re-interviewing for your position.
Sean, I played so hard to try to impress my new coach, and crickets. I couldn't get him to say good catch. I made one of the best catches I've ever made in practice, and Nate Shaw, who was a receiver coach, he didn't even acknowledge it. And I was like, wait, it's not going to get any better.
Tough love. Well, in that sense, talking about impressing in the wide receiver room, it is kind of a new look room this spring to new kinds. It wasn't even a spring enrollee this time last year. It was a fall enrollee, and he's the guy with the most experience in that room. But he's also out this spring due to being out. He had off-season surgery. So it's an open room. It's a lot of open competition. Obviously, you have to replace Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon. JJ, being a wide receiver yourself, what do you see from this room?
Well, this is a talented team, and the reason why you can tell, because the players that they have, Trent
Mosley,
Trent Mosley from Santa Margarita, right? Yep. Let me make sure I get the schools right, because otherwise they'll kill me.
Yeah.
But the schools, right? I think that when you get players from elite programs such as Bishop Vermont, these guys are, especially these days, the development. The kids at this age are so much further developed than they were when I played, in terms of they come into college looking sculpted. I mean, these guys, body fat 4% and stuff like that. Yeah. These guys are in shape, and all the high school has evolved and elevated itself, where now they, between the defensive schemes and stuff, so the players are more knowledgeable, and they should be able to catch on to the system faster, which I think really will help USC, because this is the number one freshman class in the country. That is huge, and now everybody's gonna say, well, you got to play like the number one class in the country. Your class was number one, right?
No, I don't. We were top, maybe. I don't know. It got a little better after I was here. But you made, I think, a great point about the skill players. How much training they're getting now in 7-on-7s, and how many reps they've had at playing football. But I think the wide receiver room is a good topic, because when you lose two big names like that, there's some spots to fill, right? And then Chinook's not practicing, right? He's out, so you're gonna get a lot of reps if you're in that room, and those are critical reps for evaluation and for your film. So those guys in that room are gonna get a lot of looks and a lot of eyeballs, because as many reps as you get, that's the most important thing as a young player, is try to get those reps out there so you can get your film out, and the coaches can evaluate it.
And you want as many reps as possible for Jaden Maava as well to get chemistry with his guys. Well, we got one more segment of Trojans Live. Stay tuned. One final segment left here on Trojans Live. That's my ode to Jordan Moore, who's over in Chicago with men's basketball. I'm Keely Orr with Sean Cody and John Jackson. It's time for our over-under presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. Alrighty, guys. Last season, USC used 7 different starting offensive line combinations during the regular season. This year, all 5 starters return, and head coach Lincoln Riley said this is the most continuity that he's ever had at offensive line. That being said, over under 4.5 different starting lineups for USC's offensive line in 2026.
Well, we'll go age before beauty. Go ahead, Jay. Take it over.
I'm going with the over.
Over.
Really? Okay, why?
I think that Lincoln will keep the guys fresh in terms of when he'll give them the rest they need, and he'll also make sure he has backups that will be able to carry the load, so to speak. So he's going to play. I think he'll rotate a lot of guys just for that reason, to minimize the injuries and also get looks at some guys that might not get a chance.
Yeah, I'll take the, optimistically, I'll take the under. You like to see guys, JJ, he's right. In this day of college football, you need guys that are ready, because injuries are just part of that position. So you need to have certain guys in there. Now, 7 is too many injuries, too many guys going down. That's probably too high. 4.5 is probably a good line right there. If you can but you need definitely a tackle who can kind of be your swing tackle if one of those guys go down. And then you'd like an interior guy in the center. So if you can have, you want those guys to be ready, keep them fresh, like JJ says. But 7, that's too many rotations.
Too much. Well, the good thing is Coach Riley said on Friday that the new freshmen that they got a lot of freshmen in that room. They are physically ready. It's about how fast can they get up to speed with the playbook and just the mental side of things. Kenai Pepe, I believe, is 6'7", 330. So that's a big guy who looks the part. It's just how much.
Doesn't look human, by the way.
He looks like a retired NFL player. When he took a visit to USC, I was like, I don't recognize that former Trojan. Yeah, I was doing some Googling. But no. I mean, how long in your experience? I mean, you're in the trenches, but.
It's definitely a different transition from high school to football, or high school to college, with the inside, I think, trench players to wide receivers. I think it's a lot easier of that transition. If you're on the outside, your speed still plays. A lot of that stuff still plays. Inside, man, there's some old, you're going against some guys that are 20, 22, 24. Like those are some older guys in there when you're just a young pup. So that transition, I think, is a lot tougher on the interior.
And I think other teams obviously will know when guys are missing and hurt and they have to make changes. And that's when defensive coordinators dial up the stunts, the blitzes, and things of that nature.
Oh, we got a young guy out there to tackle.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of confusion could be a big problem for guys that don't have that much experience. And if you keep having to put a new guy in to learn, everybody who starts anew, there's a learning process. And you know this, Sean. Pete Carroll, you put a guy in as a backup. You're doing stunts, loops, and everything else.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for show number 2. Thanks so much for joining me, guys.